For today's episode, we're going to talk about the types of speech contexts. There are two major types of speech contexts. These are intrapersonal and interpersonal. Let's begin with intrapersonal communication. From the word intra, it means communicating to oneself. In here, you need to have the capability to analyze in order to make a good decision or conclusion. Because in intrapersonal communication, the speaker and the receiver are the same you yourself. And the message is made up of your thoughts and feelings. The following are the examples of interpersonal communication: repeating a song heard while looking in the mirror, memorizing out loud the dialogue in a play, writing a diary, writing and post-it notes of things you need to do for the day, daydreaming, meditating, or mental planning. And now let's have interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is about mingling, chatting, and connecting with other people. This is about establishing personal relationship. And so we need respect, openness, and knowledge about the topic. Always remember that communication is always intentional. There are six types of interpersonal communication. These are dyadic communication, small group communication, public communication, mass communication, organizational communication, and intercultural communication. Dyadic communication is from the word dyad. It only involves two participants. The roles of the speaker and listener here are interchangeable. It could be a conversation which is informal, the most common and most popular one, a dialogue which is formal and usually done in consultation, or an interview which is highly formal compared to conversation but not as in-depth as dialogue. Here are some of the few examples of dyadic communication. These are talking to your best friend, consulting with a priest, heart-to-heart talk with a guidance counselor, and job interview. And now let's have small group communication. Small group communication involves not more than 15 people to study an issue, discuss a problem, and come up with a solution or a plan. This includes participants who are working to achieve the desired goal. The group here has an agenda, a leader, and an outcome to accomplish, and rules must be followed to facilitate order. Here are some examples of small group communication. These are panel discussions, brainstorming, symposia, and round tables. Let's talk about public communication. In public communication, the speaker addresses to many listeners, collectively known as audience. There is no interchanging of roles here. This is usually formal that involves more than 15 audience. The speaker is dressed appropriately and the speech is well prepared and the listeners are set to listen. These are some examples of public communication. These are: a teacher is lecturing in the classroom, delivering a speech, speaking in protest rallies, and joining in a rhetorical contest. What about mass communication? Mass communication takes place through television, radio, newspapers, magazines, books, billboards, internet like social media, webcasts, or podcasts. The following are some examples of mass communication: publishing your article in the school paper or newspaper, advertisements on billboards, listening to the radio, watching television, and expressing your political views on Facebook. What What about organizational communication? Organizational communication involves interaction of members along the links in the organizational structure. There are two types of organizational communication. These are formal and informal. For formal organizational communication, it uses the proper channels graphically illustrated by chart. Memos, announcements, and reports are passed following the chain of command, while the informal version bypasses the links, skips forward or backward, or even goes sideways just to achieve the same goal. This only happens when there is an emergency. The following are some examples of organizational communication. These are receiving a memo on salary increase, reading a text message about an urgent meeting, and submitting a report on the problems encountered. And number 6 is intercultural communication. Intercultural communication is an exchange of concepts, traditions, values, and practices between and among people of different nationalities and ways of life. And to make the exchange more meaningful, there should be deeper understanding of awareness of what makes various nationalities different and unique, but also similar and familiar. The following are some examples of intercultural communication. These are roundtable discussion about how we relate with our families in Korean and Philippine cultures, a lecture on a Chinese way of doing business that might enlighten Filipino businessmen, and chatting with a Muslim friend from Arab country.